Welcome everyone, this is Nichelle Anderson and I'm your host for my podcast show, Nichelle Anderson Short Stories and Beyond. Thank you so much for joining me today, and this particular episode is continuing on with my revisit to my future series entitled Future Series of Nahor and Princes Aamina. This would be PA, which stands for Prior to Adult Years of my book, which is the prior years towards before my book, and this is entitled From Dusk to Dawn, I Shall Only Love You. This will be returning back from the previous 3 other future series of Nahor and Princes Aamina that I released this season in season 7. Do encourage you to go and check that out. Also, I have a Substack for premium membership content. That's where I release behind the scenes, new short stories, breakdown of the characters, extra, our private chat session that we will have if you join. I do have some content that's free. The rest is premium paid membership. So I do encourage you, if you love my short stories and my writing and my talent, go ahead and consider to become a premium member with the MOLIAE World Short Stories for premium content members. Okay, it will be a link in the description of how to get to my Substack and to sign up and be a part of that extra content for members only. So in this particular episode, we're going to go right into it, but a couple of things right quick. It's about to be wrapping up of this year of 2023, and I want to say I'm thankful. This is my 7th season podcasting, and I appreciate this opportunity to be able to express myself and show my writing and what I'm blessed with, and I'm so happy. I wrote that book so many years ago, Mitsrayim, A Memoir of a Past Life in Ancient Egypt. You can purchase that book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any other bookstore that you desire. I just ask, if you love it, be positive and give back and do a positive review on one of those platforms. I appreciate you if you do that. And when we write and do things or whatever we have talent for, it's nice to be appreciated in a way of just doing the little small things to just show that you enjoyed the creativity, the output. So I just want to put that out there in your ear, and I appreciate you. All right, so let's get into my wrap up in the sense of touching some things before I do my episode wrapping up this year, and that is follow me on Twitter, social media, what have you. Post say I love your short stories and go from there. Okay, we are available on WhatsApp. Definitely check that out. I do have my NFT collection, Pyramid Mystery Temple Reunion, which I do talk about in my short stories. That's where they chart schools and so forth and the different mystics for those children there. And I have a collection which is different pyramids and stuff like that. So do consider purchasing that. You can go to MOLIAE World, where you can go ahead and look at that and mint that and call it a day, okay? You also can go to MOLIAE.com and get you some t-shirts, particularly one with my MOLIAE Love Groove that I do my live stream about relationships, healthy relationships, okay? None of that toxic crap. And get you a t-shirt. And if you want to support my productions and my short stories, that's the way to do it. I also have a beauty line that I expanded out from MOLIAE, which is MOLIAEbeauty.com. That link is in the description. If you want the best skin, definitely try out my Topaz Oasis Queen collection. You tired of lotion? You tired of, okay, I'm taking a shower, you got to put this on. You use that for your shower or your bath, and I'm telling you, you can be like, lotion, what's that? I mean, it's just a totally different ball game, like you just a cream, And then for my male collection, which is King and Me, we have the Power Paradise, and that's a brown sugar scrub as well. Definitely use that. I'm telling you, it's going to change your life. Rough skin, spots, hyperpigmentation, you're going to look like a real warthog when you get finished using that. So definitely go there. You get 10% coupon if you are a new subscriber to MOLIAE Beauty. All right, so I think I covered everything. My music, I'm so excited about that. My music album is coming along. Do check out When Love Was Divine, that singer. I'm on the album there, on that single, actually, on that song, and then of course my other song as well that I released. So definitely check that out. So we got all that out the way, and any future news or what have you, I just do a new bonus. I will be still doing my regular once a month because I got so much going on, but thank you for your support. So let's get into what happened last episode. Last episode was titled And Whom Is This Dama But Another. I do my director clip notes where I go further into it, but pretty much just to give you an idea, Nahor rediscovers basically that there's someone in Princess Aamina life, and that's Dama. He would be a king over Zimbabwe, and Nahor don't like that. And we get into that. We also find out in the last episode a friend, which is so exciting when I'm able to channel and bring those memories, back to the forefront, and to realize like, oh my goodness, a new character. When I wrote that book so many years ago, it was 50. So in that, it was a lot. So I guess at that time, to be able to condense it as much as I possibly could, it was hard to do, but I did it. And to be able to see all these other new characters was a part of the story. It was just to fit everything in the book. And now fast forward through my podcast, it allows me to kind of really sit back, drink some good tea, and able to let the memories come through to learn about these other characters. So it was very, very loving, a wonderful experience when I was able to do that and this character came out. He had a best friend, and you get to be a part of that moment and how they came together and how they understood how much Nahor loves Princess Aamina, and then follow up with Dama and how that came about in those earlier years. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this new episode. This new episode is basically from the continuation from the last one, PA number 3. Remember, PA is prior to adult years, or basically prior to the book, but a little bit older. When I started this particular feature series on my podcast show, I started with Nahor and Princess Aamina at a very young age, like 8 or 9. So now we kind of a little bit jumping ahead. So I might jump back to when they're much younger, but right now we're in the preteens. So this particular episode, From Dusk to Dawn, I Shall Only Love You. I gotta admit, I come up with the most awesome topics. Come on. The most wonderful story titles. And I give thanks to God for that. From Dusk to Dawn, I Shall Only Love You. Come on now. That's good. Put something in the comments and say, Nichelle, girl, you're talented. It doesn't hurt to give credit to somebody in that sense, to show how much you appreciate that energy and that new ability to be able to share and give through writing. All right. So in this particular episode, we do a continuation where Nahor and his best friend, has this plan. What is that plan? So we find out what that is today, where they feel their reaction and their response, particularly Nahor, back to Dama, where Dama is on the scene and visiting Princess Aamina, and Nahor doesn't like that. So we'll see what's going to happen. So let's get into this and let's get started. Let's begin for my season 7, 2023 to 2024. For this week on my podcast show, Nichelle Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond, for PA number 4, the future series of Nahor and Princess Aamina, entitled From Dusk to Dawn, I Shall Only Love You. Opening scene. Sand dunes from the north ran through the town of Hon as Mitsrayim went about their early dawn gathering of their food and water at the markets. Not yet filled with many Mitsrayim, Nahor didn't bother to stop at his usual new biscuit table to buy some more for Princess Aamina, as he wanted to get to the location near the palace with Oturo, his best friend. It was not a regular mystery school time plan that they had 3 free dawns ago of a spoo to do as they wish. And Nahor and Oturo had a plan for this another love interest to be around Princess Aamina. So they took this free time to be able to plan their next move, to the knowing that this Dama from Zimbabwe was in Mitsrayim to spend time with Princess Aamina. So Nahor and his best friend Oturo, they both jumped over baskets and bread and ran faster and faster through another emerge of marketers of Mitsrayim going about their middle way. They ducked and they rolled over to get back faster up, and as they spotted the camera, they knew, oh, here they are again, up to something and ready to do something more than what they should. It was all in the camera's eyes. They laughed and they giggled, but they kept going because they knew they had to be at a particular spot at the moment that they planned the previous Kingo hours of what their next move was going to be. Like in a mythic rhythm way, they both jumped on their favorite ones of their camel and they sped off towards a location near the palace. Claps and clunks you can hear as they made it through the not-so-busy crowd now, and yet the sand swept up around the camel's feet ever so slightly. Meanwhile, we are at the adorned connector to the Royal Abbas Palace, and Princess Aamina is somewhere, not fully interested in the days, or somewhere that she looked over some of her attendants, wondering what the day would be. Another interesting day or another formal day? She just wasn't interested, but she managed to go about and do as her head attendant was instructed from her mother and her father. In the day's plan, as she did hear of her to do that she would be doing, she did wish to be someplace else, but she knew Damar was in Mitsrayim. He traveled all the way from Zimbabwe with his father, King Kohan, and she knew that Damar wanted to spend time with her, as well as her family. As his stepfather, King Kohan, met with her father, King Mahlon, and other diplomats in Mitsrayim. Princess Aamina wore a tan brown sunset color Sani dress that also wrapped around her legs as an extra fabric went up across her right shoulder. Princess Aamina hair pulled back with her princess crown exposing her long Nubian curly hair flowing free as in the vested clouds above. She had just got word that Damar was up and making his way through the living quarters in the palace to where she was earlier, when a sound all of a sudden of commotion stopped, and her attendants and her turned to the attention of the direction of what was coming from. They particularly surrounded Princess Aamina to see what was that, and maybe perhaps they needed to go get help, and a slide chariot to await others to come in. Before she could make out what that sound was, appeared Nahor, topping over the baskets of flowers that Princess Aamina was nearby. Her attendants hurried to try to see if they can help. Princess Aamina let out a gasp, but then she just started laughing as Nahor tripped over another couple of baskets. And she knew, knowing her mother would not be happy about that. She was about to say something when her female attendants also laughed, knowing that the same thought was this Nahor trying to get close to Princess Aamina. Nahor said, holding out his hand, barely able to stand up, "You want to go to the Goa races? This aspu? Dan Nata?" Princess Aamina's eyes widened with excitement. Oh, yes, she did. She turned to her female attendants and sure, please, just cover me. Just please let me go. Don't say anything. They already knew by watching Princess Aamina that she was going to go, even if they said they was going to tell her mother, Queen Hagar. So she turned and faced Nahor, and showing her excitement and the sweet sound of a spew above of Mitsrayim, Princess Aamina nodded, and before she could even change her mind, Nahor reached for her hand, and they were off on his camera with auteurs speaking to one of the other female attendants in her ear on what to do when Damar enters, and he was then off following Nahor and Princess Aamina. We could hear one of the female attendants say, "I want to go too," but they were off in a flash. Meanwhile, a few feet and levels away, Damar stopped running, raising his voice to whom was that? That just in a brief second took his future queen and was stunned of the brilliance to pull it off and broad as ways. He assigned his guard Tanuna and said he will find out. Who is that? Tanuna said he will, and they are heading towards that location that I think they are fun but idle races for the your age of people and of Mitsrayim, and those tribal leaders' children of the north as well. Before Tarwa could speak again about it, Damar said with a stern voice, "Take me there." Later, they had spewed day over their guru races on one of the hilltops of the sand dunes. We see Princess Aamina and Nahor. They are sitting on a large square fabric with decors of shapes and hieroglyphs of family and friends, and the aspu power above. Nahor had several of his mother's baked goods and sweet sador that Princess Aamina loved, They were laughing and eating as they talked about many things that they remembered of the previous races, and this one as well as their childhood of earlier times of they used to attend this event and others. While they enjoyed the freedom of expression and sharing, Torah was talking to a female Mitsrayim, not attending one of the mystery school of thought, as he met her during the time that they had just arrived. But she was cute and he wanted to continue to talk to her. And so she was on this square fabric-like place where they can sit and just relax, enjoying the meal and the other people enjoying the races that's about to take forth. And Princess Aamina was relaxed as she was eating grapes and vegetables and just enjoying all of it and relaxing and not having to do this or that, but just being with her good friend Nahor and Adoro. She sat on the racer. She sat and she just cheered as others was racing up and down, and she just wanted to kind of be a part of it. They both jumped up from excitement and was happy that other people was finished the first race, and then the second one was announced really quickly. Before she knew it, Princess Aamina's name was called to be up next in the next round of competitors. She screamed of excitement and jumped up as they all cheered for her. She ran and she was up with the rest of them. And then she sat on one of the racer camels with the other competitors, and they charged forward, maneuvering their camel. Nahor seemed to shout for the loudest to keep going, keep going, Princess Aamina. She was, and Torah and his female companion also waved, and everyone was jumping up and down of excitement as the other 20 racers stormed ahead and tried to catch up with Princess Aamina to the other end of the path of the sand dunes. They kicked up all of a sudden and trolled up to roll underneath them. In the slow motion, they could see the princess coming through. Meanwhile, back at the royal palace, in the royal meeting room of ancestors of Samna and Mitsrayim, of course, we see King Mahlon, having one of his high-rank military officials finish whispering in his right ear of the whereabouts of Princess Aamina. That was interrupted by Nahor and his best friend Adoro to go to the Nahor of races before the Ma got the chance to take her out for their time. King Mahlon, as he sat at the head of the middle table and with King Kohan, was busy talking about other matters with the diplomats and not really too alert what's going on. But King Mahlon knew and just shook his head. He said, "Clever is he, Nahor." "Does my queen know of this?" he told to his high-ranking military officer. The military officer nodded, and no, Queen Hagar does not. And then he stood at attention for the next command from King Mahlon. King Mahlon said as he leaned back, "Let that be for now." Then he stood up slowly, King Mahlon, and he walked to the open floor-length windows, and he closed his arms and hands behind him in thought, and was heard saying, "Indeed." Fade out as we can go next. Meanwhile, back at the Grove of Races. It was alluring and fun as the 20 races with the 3, including Princess Aamina, tightly making it to the mark, and like an instant, she just pulled out. It was so exciting. First she was ahead, then she was not, and then all of a sudden she just pulled out ahead of them. She actually pulled through and won! Yay! Everybody was so excited. It was so amazing. Everyone was jumping up and down and laughing as Princess Aamina, as she got down, and she was just so excited. She was kissing her favorite camel. She was so happy he remembered and picked her when she went up there and picked him. And like that, we could see all of a sudden everybody was running towards Princess Aamina. Nahor and Torah and his female Mitsrayim companion also running down the hill towards her. And everybody was just happy and excited, and it was just amazing. She was just laughing like, "This is fun in Mitsrayim." But then all of a sudden, the sand picked up, and they couldn't see each other. And the others, and on the hilltops, they stopped to let it cease. The sand, let it win. And then moments later, it did. But then Nahor froze as he was just about to make it almost close to Princess Aamina, as he was about to start running towards her and the others. He saw that one that seemed to disappear once the sand dust faded to the side. It was this Damar. He jumped off the war horse with about 10 guards around him, and his long cape went flapping around him as though he commanded the sand to depart from him. Torah grabbed Nahor's arm to not move and stand still, as they all watched, including the females that saw what they knew of a future king he must be. As his crown band wore around his forehead, Princess Aamina turned to see the commotion and the awe, and saw that it was Damar as he hurriedly walked through the crowds that departed, and he rushed up to her and kissed her right in front of everyone, and then hugged her before picking her up with excitement for her win. Princess Aamina didn't know what to say as he reached for her hand then when he let her down, and then he guided her and they turned to walk towards the awaiting chariot that everybody still did not move and watched them. The royal chariot that pulled up, as well as both of her family guards. Damar felt the stares, and then he looked over to where he sensed this Nahor would be watching, and gave him a deep territory stare. And then smiled as he turned back around and raised his head higher in triumph as he then helped Princess Aamina into the war chariot. He then joined her, and they rode off towards into the hills and down. Princess Aamina looked back at Nahor before the whole scene would fade away as they continued to move forward towards the palace, and she saw Nahor with a sad face, but he managed to smile and wave. She waved, hoping he got her telepathic message that they will talk soon. Just later, Nahor stepped forward towards where they were riding to, just a couple of steps, but Nahor held a tighter grip on his right arm to not do so. Then Otowa said to him, "Let him think he won by his status of so-called right to her, but you won the memories that are embedded in her heart forever. There's always another dawn. You outsmarted a future king. Impressive indeed, my dear friend." Nahor slowly smiled and watched Princess Aamina get into more and more further down the way towards the palace as she rode off with yet another love interest. Nahor then said, with the confidence of a lion, "Arce, Arce." End scene.